I'm Chip Townsend, and this is the Team Chip Podcast. In this episode of the show,
if you're consistent, your platform will grow.
That's right.
You have a Facebook page and you're not using it, it's actually causing more harm to you than good. It actually is a muscle that you have to grow. And so you kind of have to help your people grow that muscle to engage with you. It's also important to put a face to your social media.
Right. All right, guys, here we are. We are back leveraging social media for brand awareness. As promised, part 2, we brought Miss Lexi back. She is going to be dropping bombs of gold here for you on a bare minimum social media plan, why it's important, and all of those things. But it's going to be systemizable, duplicatable. Need you guys to get your pens and notepads out, digital, paper, whatever it is. Let's get rolling with this thing and get it going. Now, golden nuggets. Why do we talk about golden nuggets? Lexi, what are the golden nuggets?
A golden nugget? Well, we want something that is practical and actionable that we can move forward with. And sometimes when you're listening to something, you can get a lot of things that aren't really applicable to you.
Yeah.
But it's important to be able to filter out the things that you go, gosh, okay, that was an amazing point. I'm going to make that happen. So hopefully today, most of this podcast will be a big golden nugget.
And not a big pile of poo, which you normally get in life, right? You get this big pile, and whoever's willing to roll up the sleeves and dig for the golden nuggets succeeds, man. I'm just telling you, that's what
a terrible analogy, but a good truth. but a terrible analogy.
But hopefully people are paying attention.
Yes,
all right,
absolutely.
so let's roll this thing out. Consistency. Talk to me. What are we doing here?
Yeah, so we're just going to take some time to talk about what we do practically to make this happen, because we have a pretty big social media presence. We have so much content going out.
When you first started tracking metrics, what was that looking like, and versus what it looks like today?
Overwhelming. It was overwhelming.
Overwhelmingly
there were
bad.
So many things to look at.
Horrible.
But now, I kind of have an understanding a little bit more of what I'm looking at whenever I'm looking at analytics. And so I would give a piece of advice that when you start looking at your analytics, pick 1 or 2 numbers to look at. Don't look at everything, because then you're gonna feel like I did, and you're gonna feel a little bit overwhelmed.
Absolutely. That's so powerful, guys.
But
don't look at all of them.
Yes,
pick
absolutely.
1 or 2 that move the needle for you and stay consistent.
So around 2022, 2021, we really started to get vigilant about looking at our analytics and our engagements a lot. And so if we're just strictly looking at engagements like likes, comments, shares per post on Facebook, we were seeing maybe about 2,000, 3,000 users on our Team Chip Martial Arts pages every month engaging. And this last month, we had 66,000. And so it's just really, the point of that is not to brag or boast about how much engagement we're getting, but to say that there actually is some proof in the pudding that these things are helpful, they are applicable, and they will make a difference. And the biggest thing that I have to say is consistency is key.
Yes.
You will hear all the time, and I mentioned this in the last episode, people that come out of the woodwork that are like, this is the kind of content, this is the format for the content, these are the color schemes that you need to use because this is what's trendy and popular and yada, 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 yada. And that's junk. If you're consistent, your platform will grow.
That's right.
Now, if your content's bad, it won't.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk a little bit today about how to actually
100%.
How to write good content, how to write things that people care about.
Yeah, content has to be valuable. But the thing you were saying, it's like the person that opens a business, they hang their shingle and just expect people to show up. It just doesn't work that way.
You have to do the thing.
You got to do the work, right?
Yes. And I will say, as far as hanging a shingle and not doing anything, if you have a Facebook page and you're not using it, it's actually causing more harm to you than good. Because whenever people look up your business on Facebook, and I know some people say like nobody looks up a business on Facebook, but that's just not true.
Right.
They'll use Google, but they'll also use Facebook. And if they find a business page that doesn't ever have stuff getting posted to it, that says a lot about your business, and that says a lot about what you care about.
Right.
Not that we want to come off as caring about social media, but when we're posting content about our students and educational content, it doesn't show that we care about social media. It shows that we care about our craft.
Right.
And so it's really important that if you have social media, which you should, that you are actually using it and using it well.
Right. Well, and another thing too, I don't remember where it was, but I read something a while back that said, this is a little disrelated, but if your website is just sitting there and not getting updated once in a while, the analytics that carry that website in the backside will slowly just kind of push it to the back even further because there's no action happening. So even your website needs an update every now and then. Your Facebook, you know, you can't just throw one thing out there and go. So kind of talk to that. Like, well, how are we keeping things consistent? What are we doing here?
Absolutely. So I just want to talk to you guys for a second about kind of our bare minimum social media plan.
This is the part right here. Get the pen and paper out. Pay attention.
Now, this is, if you are not posting consistently to Facebook, this is going to sound audacious to you. 2 or 3 years ago, this would have sounded audacious to me. Mm-hmm. But we're going to get into that a little bit later about how to make this happen and make it not overwhelming.
We got some tips for you on how to shortcut that work a little bit.
Our bare minimum social media content. So this is like on a really slow week, if nobody else is posting any content or we don't have any events going on, you will see this going on our social media. So we do 3 candid shots of class per week. So that's just 3 photos of kids, adults, parkour, you know, doing something awesome that we're getting posted on our pages.
Inside our school, our students, right? Yes, I think that's really powerful and something to understand.
And they're not photos from 3 months ago.
Right.
They're photos from I took it today, I posted the next day.
Right.
We're doing 1 reel. Typically that sometimes it can be oriented around an event, but most of the time it's just little shots of kids doing stuff in class. You know, like that kid blasted that clapper bag with a roundhouse kick. And I'm just going to post that because it's awesome. I want kids to see that, or parents to see that.
Absolutely.
1 expert carousel. So this would be like, you know, Instagram has carousels, and we call them carousels even though they're not on Facebook. But it's just kind of a set of images that we don't really have a lot of pictures on them. Maybe 1 photo that kind of repeats on all of them. But this is just an educational post. And so maybe the topic is how Taekwondo can help with muscle recovery, or how you can prepare and warm up good for a class, or, you know, something like that, something that's educational.
Mind-body connection or things like that. You know, we talked about that in the last episode too, the importance of educating the audience, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. Very
and
cool.
then we do 3 engagement posts in our Facebook group per week. And so they're not very serious. They're just asking questions like, what's the last book that you read?
Right.
I think I said this in the last episode, but are you a Netflix house or an Amazon Prime house? Are you a... what's your favorite board game to play with your family? What's your favorite meal? What's your favorite fast food place? What's, you know, just asking questions to build comfortability with commenting and engaging.
Right.
Because we kind of assume that people are going to comment if they like it. But I'll be honest, I don't know the last time I actually commented on something that wasn't related to our business.
Right.
Because it actually is a muscle that you have to grow. And so you kind of have to help your people grow that muscle to engage with you.
Awesome.
And so that's kind of the bare minimum that we do. So we aim to have posts going out every single day except for Sundays. So 6 days a week. And so I also would say if you have a website, we do have a blog page on our website. And if you don't, you can post a blog to Facebook. We do that as well. But we have a blog that goes out. It's also like an educational post like that. So, and maybe, you know, we like to have some of our instructor staff write them. Some of them are more high-level staff. And so maybe a concept would be, write about a time that you were struggling with motivation to come to class and how you overcame that, or how the people around you helped.
Well, and I think it's really cool what you've done with that, because you assign topics to different instructors in the building and let them have a chance to flex their writing a little bit and to think. And how cool is it for the students to see, oh, Mr. JT wrote that, or Mr. Zeke, or Mr. Manu, whoever. Oh gosh, they struggled with that too, me too. And it makes it really personable and personifies those issues and those struggles, makes you human. And whenever the students see you as human, they listen better.
It's also important to put a face to your social media. You don't just want this to be like some ethereal, invisible somebody that's behind their keyboard creating content for your business. You want people to see that, man, the guy that teaches my class every single day wrote this blog. Like, of course I want to read it because I love his classes, you know? So it's important to draw those connections. I
got a question. I don't want to sidetrack you, but so we were talking about, you know, in the group on the Facebook page, we're talking about carousels, or, you know, a blog, a reel, and all of these things. How do you streamline that stuff and kind of bring it together to create branding? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can you
talk to that? How do you create some brand memorability? Yeah. So this is where we're going to really, really back up, and we're going to look at this broad, and then we're going to get a little bit more specific as we go. So the very first thing that you need to do is you need to solidify your brand look, Like,
Yes.
what on earth does that mean?
Yes.
You know, like
Yes.
some guy out there might be listening to this going, huh?
Well,
But
can I say
here's-
something about that?
Yeah,
Listen,
absolutely.
Hey guys, if you're out there listening and you're a small martial art, a small business of any kind, you have a brand.
Yes.
You could be the brand, but
Yes.
you have a brand. I'm saying that to encourage you because I think sometimes we think we're too small.
Yes.
We think, oh, I'm not a Coca-Cola. I'm not an Apple. You know.
Yes.
Who cares? In your community, be the brand.
Right.
That's what matters, right? Mm-hmm.
So we want to create a look. And I know that this was kind of a running joke with our team for a while, that I was kind of like the crotchety old librarian with a ruler that would come by and slap people's
I didn't know it
hands,
ever
you know?
stopped.
No, it definitely, I think it's better, but I still am a stickler about this. You know, we would have staff members that were gung-ho about creating content for us and would create amazing stuff, and then they would use like hot pink and turquoise, which are not at all any of our brand colors.
Right.
And so when somebody sees that, they don't have instant recognition
Right.
that it's Team Chip creating that content.
Right.
And so what I would encourage people to do, and we actually did this on Canva. Canva is king, straight up. If you're not using Canva, you need to use Canva, and it's like $12.99 a month.
Right.
It is worth it. Use it.
Right.
Create a Canva account.
A tiny investment, and when you
Yes.
think costs, like
It's
what would it-
nothing compared.
nothing compared to having to
Yes.
hire an employee, you know,
Right.
to put that stuff together. So what
Right.
a powerful tool, right?
And I know that there are other programs, like I've talked to people that are like, you know, we use Adobe Illustrator or we use, you know, Adobe Spark or some of these other things. And I'll tell you right now, if it's not simple to learn, it's never going to work for you.
Right.
You don't need to have a program that you're using that's going to take months for
Right.
somebody to learn.
Right.
For somebody to learn how to
Absolutely.
use it
Absolutely.
simply. So, like, I'm familiar with those things, but that's because I have a degree in graphic design. I don't need to just assume that everyone's going to know how to use
Right.
that. So,
Mhm.
Canva is king. So in Canva, you can do something called a brand kit, and so that's where you just have a staff member that inputs your logos, you know, the logos that you want to use. Because we actually ran into, you know, somebody created a graphic for us, and they had a logo version that was from like 15 years ago. I don't
Right.
even, maybe from Microsoft Publisher, that I don't even know where they found it. And they used it on something, and it was like, whoa, what is that?
It
you know?
doesn't align, and the stickler
So,
stepped out right there.
I
didn't
know.
she?
The
Yeah.
ruler came flying. You could hear the air whistle as it flew by. So create a brand kit in Canva. So input your colors, input your logo, and then share that with the rest of your team so that whenever they're creating graphics for you, they're using all the same typefaces. Y'all,
Yes.
it's not a font. It's a typeface. They're using all the same typefaces, the same colors, the same logos. And that instantly helps create a sense of unity amongst all of the content that's getting created, even if it's amongst multiple people.
Right.
And it just kind of makes it easier for them too.
Right.
Because sometimes you have a staff member that you say, hey, could you make us a graphic for this upcoming Parents' Night Out? And there's a little bit of paralysis by analysis because they're like, I don't even know what color to pick.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But you're solving a lot of those problems for them. And so you know that it's going to look right.
Very cool.
So why does that even matter? Well, when somebody is scrolling on our social media, we want them to instantly recognize that this is Team Chip
Right.
whenever they see our content. And so how does that apply to filter or photos? Because, you know, like we were saying, we take a lot of photos from class. So there's an app called Visco, VSCO.
Right.
And so we just downloaded. It's free. And you can create a filter code for your images. You know, like
Wow.
sometimes you, like I might take some photos and I might be a little bit bad at taking photos, but
Right.
you take some photos and they're really, really good.
Right.
Well, when we post them on our social media, there's kind of some discontinuity happening because some of the photos stink. Some of them are pretty good.
Right.
Some of them are a little blurry.
If I'm taking them, they're all blurry.
and it actually differs between devices. We all know that Apple's the best, but you know, sometimes different phones or different devices, be it a Samsung or a Google Pixel, they just look different.
Right.
And so it's important that we're creating some unification there. And so what we've done in our own personal, amongst our team is we all have Visca accounts, the people that actually edit the photos. And we have a filter code. So this is how you need to put the saturation at 5, put the brightness at 2.
Right.
And then you can have photos taken by tons of different team members. You slap that filter code on it, and all of a sudden, it looks like a Team Chip photo.
Right.
It looks like Team Chip.
Very cool.
And that might sound so silly, but when
it's
you
not. It's
see when you see an emerald green circle without a mermaid, you know it's Starbucks.
Right.
You just know.
Right.
And so we want to create that same kind of experience on our social media.
And just because we're a small martial arts school doesn't mean we're too small to create that, are we?
Absolutely.
Nope.
We want parents in our community, you know, I don't even know how many people live in this town, but we want parents in our community to say, well, we do Team Chip, not we do martial arts. You know, we want to be a Kleenex business, and that actually connects a lot to your social media presence too. I want people when they're scrolling on social media to stop, because before they read a single word, they know that Team Chip Yellow, and they know that that's going to be good to read. So they're going to stop and read it.
I love
it.
So
it might seem frivolous and silly, but it's very actionable. Canva, create a brand kit. That's what that's called. They're amazing YouTube tutorials.
Very cool.
That you can find to do that. And then VSCO is what we use because it's free. It doesn't cost anything to do that.
Right. And anything free is very commonly helpful,
free,
right?
yes,
Yeah, it's not something we have to spend money on.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to run back through here real quick, and will you kind of rehash this list? Because, you know, I promise people that to get that notepad out, kind of rehash that list of steps you take and the things that you do for that bare minimum marketing social media plan here. So run through that. Okay?
Absolutely. So we do 3 candid shots of class per week.
Right.
So that's
real quick,
literally one photo.
Yeah. And again, now we have this way to filter that photo, make them look consistent, make them look correct. It doesn't really matter who takes it, right? So you could assign that to a leadership team member on the mat. Hey, grab a couple of good shots. And sometimes you get some great stuff.
So this took us so long to figure out.
Right.
I'm going to blow your mind and help you. So instead of having every person that takes photos edit the photo and post the photo,
right,
have them take the raw photo, send it to a Facebook Messenger thread, and have one single person assigned to grab that photo, filter it, post it.
Yes.
So you take what we ran into is our instructors would pull their phone out in the middle of an awesome drill and they'd take a photo.
Right.
And then that photo 6 months later, they'd go, oh, I have these really awesome photos from class. Well, they're not really relevant anymore because they're kind of old. None of those kids have the same belts on anymore.
Right.
And so now we have a system where you take the photo, you immediately shoot it through a Facebook Messenger thread. We have someone on call pretty much in that thread that's available the next time that they're clocked in for work, that they grab that photo, they throw that filter on it that's already preset on their free app on their phone, and then they can get that posted for us.
Very cool. Very cool. I love that. And that's like bonus nuggets.
Yes.
Have one thread, you send it to one person that does the posting.
We call it our social media triage chat.
Absolutely.
And so we just have someone on standby to do that.
I've come to love it.
Oh, I know.
It's helped me so much. Best. It's helped me so much.
Well, and it also, you know, you want to pick somebody that is going to write good captions, you know, because sometimes you run into that staff member that maybe they don't punctuate the way that you would to see. Or maybe they don't capitalize things. And that matters. You have to have a unified voice everywhere.
Absolutely. So here we go, guys. 3 candid shots of class per week.
Yes.
And then
one blog post. And like I said, that's coming from our website, but you don't have to have a website to put a blog post out. One expert carousel where we're educating people about a problem that they might not know that they have. 3 engagement posts in our Facebook group. And then we also like to throw out whatever else we can. So that's kind of what we call our bare minimum. And I know that sounds insane, but there are some ways that you can make that happen.
That's what I was about to say.
Yes.
That sounds so overwhelming.
Yes.
Do you have any tips for simplifying that process a little bit?
Absolutely.
And what would those things be for the guy that's maybe a 1-man or 2-person band kind of running that school by themselves?
Yes. So we use a platform called Buffer.
Right.
Recently, this is kind of a dud, but recently Meta, the Facebook and Instagram company, came out with a policy that you can't use a third party to post in Facebook groups. So we are still actually trying to figure out a resolution to that so that we can get scheduled content in Facebook groups.
Right.
But it's still worth it, even if you can't in Facebook groups.
When you have multiple pages, multiple profiles, multiple things going on, it's so helpful. So,
so you can connect all of those to Buffer.
Okay.
And then what we do is we, you know, myself or somebody else that I have creating some content, will like, okay, we're going to sit down for 1 hour a month and we're going to create, you know, 50 or 25 engagement posts. We open up Canva, we find a template that we like, or if you have someone that's skilled enough, you create a template yourself, but you don't have to do that. That's not necessary.
So, hey guys, I want to pause you right there because schedule it.
Yes.
An hour a month, 2 hours,
yes.
Schedule it. These are going to be our posts for the next however X many, days, weeks, whatever. get it on your calendar, man. You've got to get that stuff done.
And make a hard stop. Like
Yes.
that was probably one of the biggest problems for me is I get really excited about, making fun
Right.
graphics.
Right.
And then I keep going for forever and I start to neglect other things that I need to work on. And so
Right.
set a timer. When the timer goes off, it does not matter how many you have made. Turn it off.
Right.
Okay. Turn it off.
Absolutely.
And move on to the next task. But batch create your content. So dedicate a few times a month that you're creating different types of content. And then you can throw it into Buffer. You can schedule it out. We have literally had up to 800 posts scheduled in Buffer before.
Wow.
And
wow,
you
wow,
can
wow. That's amazing.
we have right now posts scheduled all the way to 2026 in Buffer.
2026. I love it. I love it.
And that is something that you can have once you kind of create all of those graphics and you download them from Canva and it's in a folder on your computer. That's a really awesome task that you can pass off to a younger person.
Yes.
That's kind of interning maybe with you, and you can say, okay, I'm going to show you how to do this. Now I want you to take the next 2 hours and get these all scheduled for me.
Right.
And that's a really awesome way to delegate some responsibilities without giving them the keys to the kingdom and putting them on social media, because
100%.
that's something that matters a lot to us.
Absolutely.
We don't want to allow.
Yeah, we don't want to. Let's not dig into that yet, because I know where
Yes,
you're headed with
yes.
that. That's big stuff.
Absolutely.
But this Buffer is allowing us, because you've heard Lexi and me probably say many times. You've heard Lexi several times in the last 2 episodes say consistency is key.
Absolutely.
This Buffer scheduling
Yes.
allows you to manage your time, get it on the calendar, get it set up,
Yes.
and let it run. You do need to check on it, make sure it's operating,
Absolutely.
but you're getting it consistent. So before we slide out of here, blog. What if I'm not a good writer? What if I struggle with, maybe I have an idea for something, but I don't know how to put it on paper. Sometimes
Yeah.
people struggle with that. Do you have any tips on that? Some thoughts you could throw out there?
I totally do.
Oh, baby. I had a feeling you might have an answer.
Can I really quickly say one quick
Oh,
note
100%,
about Buffer?
100%.
So, something that is really, really amazing with Buffer
Mm-hmm.
is that you can click, there's a top little panel that says engagement, and you can go all in one place and you can comment and respond to
Yes.
comments on Buffer without actually having to get on Facebook or without
Yes.
actually having to get on Instagram. And you can engage and comment and respond to people. And that is something that will make a huge difference. You have to be responding
Right.
on those social media channels. If I walked by somebody and said, "Hey, how are you today?" and they just flat ignored me and walked away,
Right.
I would not say hi the next
Right.
time that I saw them, because I would expect after 2 or 3 times that they probably don't care to talk to me.
Exactly.
And so it's really important that we treat Facebook the same way and Instagram the
Reciprocate.
same way. Every time someone comments, you better respond. And
Right.
typically that can be a little bit of a paralysis because people I don't have time to log into
Right.
all of those and do that and fish around for all these comments. On Buffer, you can do that all in one place. And so
Very cool.
that makes things really simple. But back to the blog.
Back to the blog. What do we do if we have brain lock,
It's
paralysis by
really,
analysis? What do I do?
really common to be able to speak well and then not really be able to put your thoughts down into
Right.
something that's readable. There are a few ways that you can go about that. Sometimes if you don't want to go this other route that I'm going to suggest, and I don't blame you, but you can actually just have people kind of collaborate together. So something that we do is I will actually assign, maybe 5 or 6 of our staff members, you have 2 months to write this blog or
Right.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Send it to me with the understanding that it will be edited, probably.
Right.
It's probably going to be edited. And then what I can do is I can either edit that myself. I feel like I have a pretty good sense of kind of correct grammar and things like that. And so
Sure.
I don't particularly struggle with that. But if you don't have someone on your team, you can take that puppy, you can stick it into ChatGPT, which is free,
Mm-hmm.
and you can say, find the grammatical errors in this and suggest revisions. And then ChatGPT can do that for you. And so you can go through and you can go, okay, ChatGPT worded this in a different way. I actually really don't like the way that that's
Right.
worded because that doesn't make sense.
Right.
Or you can go, gosh, okay, this is so helpful.
Right.
And ChatGPT is free. I'll tell you, everybody knows when you use ChatGPT and you copy and paste whatever it
Absolutely.
vomits to
Mhm.
you
Right.
on your social media. So do not do that. There are certain words like delve into or energize, things that ChatGPT says, that AI says, that it's It's really easy to spot that from a mile away. So I'm not saying to do that, but it is a really incredible tool. I would say, especially if you have a small team or you don't have a team, use ChatGPT as your personal assistant.
Right.
So you plug it in and you say, okay, I need you to look at the grammar in this, or tell me if this flows well. Maybe suggest some revisions to me. And
so this is mind-boggling me even, because I've only tinkered with it a couple of times, and I didn't know it could do that. Does this flow well? Like, hey, computer, can you flow this for me? That's amazing.
And I don't know if you guys know, somebody maybe that you have write a blog might sound like an absolute robot. You know, maybe they talk really well, but whenever they write, they sound very monotone and very clinical. And you can actually plug that into ChatGPT and say, humanize this.
Right.
That's one of my favorite prompts, humanize this.
Wow.
And so you can find some revisions and kind of choose which ones. I wouldn't use them all, because then it's, you know, you don't want to remove the person from their blog, but sometimes you just really need a little bit of help. You need an editor, and if you don't feel like an adequate editor, use your tools.
Right.
Use them.
Well, man, what an amazing bonus to have. So now we've got a baseline social media marketing plan that we can put into place, take action on. We know how to systemize it through scheduling, Buffer. We know how to create a brand kit through Canva. This has been gold. We still have more. There's one last piece, but I wanted to talk real quick. How important is it that we educate our staff on what's going on with our social media? And, you know, I know we really press our team hard. We hate asking them to be on social media, but hey, will you help reciprocate some? Will you help jump in there and speak to some of this stuff? Talk to that a little bit.
So we definitely have different standards for social media engagement depending on the age of our staff members. So some of our staff members that are minors, we don't have the same level of you need to be engaging on social media.
Absolutely, 150%.
And sometimes they have their parent that's actually doing any of, you know, the Facebook messaging on their behalf. But if they're an adult, we do ask them to engage on our content, because it's kind of what we talked about a little bit earlier. You don't want this just kind of ethereal, we don't actually know the person that's behind the Facebook page, because it's just the Facebook profile that ever only engages with me or responds to me. And so we engage or encourage our instructors to hop in and respond so that they actually feel like conversation is a two-way street. Social media shouldn't be one way, and it should also be personal.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean that you're sharing all of your personal things on social media, but it means that, you know, if I have a post going up and somebody commented on a picture like, whoa, that's my kid, that was an amazing kick. If I'm the instructor that taught that class, I better comment back to that parent and say, what a joy it was to have them in class today. They inspired me to go get to work, you know?
Absolutely.
And so we really, really push our staff members to get on social media, even if you never post anything, even if it's a picture of, you know, your dog instead of you. At least be connected and engaged with what we're doing, with what our business is doing as a staff member, because we want, you know, we touched on this in the last episode, everything physical should be digital. And if I'm coming to class and I'm talking to this instructor, whenever I engage on social media, I still should be talking to that instructor.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. And I liked what you said about the minors, because we do have different rules for minors.
Yes.
If their parents allow them to be on social media, and sometimes the parents will have an account that the minor can work through to do stuff and engage with us, but they usually let us know ahead of time, like, hey, this is my mom's account, but I'll be on there. I'll be on there responding and commenting on things. But another thing too, I don't want to get too segued, but some of the stuff out there is just absolutely inappropriate for those guys. And, you know, as the adults, as the monitors in their life, we have to kind of put some boundaries and borders down for them, and we've got to be cautious. So I encourage you, if you are running a school and you have young instructors, make sure you're talking to their parents about that social media, about that social media, and make sure those boundaries are clear, and make sure you're not allowing them to get access to something through your business social media that could get them in a place they don't need to be.
And, you know, that kind of sounds like, oh, that would never happen. Like, that would never happen. And I just want to tell kind of a quick story that happened a few months ago. Everyone is always like, I want to go viral. I want to go viral. I want to go viral. And we've had a few posts in the past go viral. And we had one maybe 2 years ago go crazy. I mean, like 17 plus million, I mean, millions and millions and millions of views in just a few days. And our following skyrocketed. Like, it went crazy. And we were all so excited, like, this is amazing. And then we started getting, I kid you not, over 100 illicit pornographic messages in our direct message thread every single day.
And
every day.
We had a team of you guys watching that constantly, having to block and delete and block and delete and block and delete.
It was its own part-time job. It was unbelievable.
It was so cool to see too. Like, oh, the video's got 5 million, it's got 10 million, it's got 15 million views. But on the backside, there was kind of that negative fallout of we're getting connected, and all of a sudden, our following in other nations was growing, and then we start getting all this illicit trash. It was unbelievable.
That's where things like Buffer, things like these third-party platforms that we've talked about a little bit matter.
Absolutely.
We are willing to spend a little bit of extra money in order to have our 16-year-old staff member hop into Buffer and respond to comments and keep her or him from actually having to log on to our profile and accidentally stumble across a message from somebody
absolutely
that they don't need to see. We 100%. Don't want to provide stumbling blocks for our people. And so that's why things like Buffer matter. You can also use Facebook Business or Meta Business Suite. That's where we do a lot of our responding to messages and comments and things like that.
Right.
But those are, it is a buffer, pun intended, for protecting some of our staff from things like that. And it's really important to also educate your staff on, okay, you know, we have a private Facebook group. We don't just allow anybody to hop in there. And sometimes we do have fake accounts or kind of those like 18 and up, whatever, horrible accounts that are wanting to join that group.
Trying to get into the group.
And there's some really sneaky ways that they try to do that. And so it's really important that if you are in charge of your social media, you are a guard dog.
Yes.
You are the gatekeeper.
Sheepdog, baby.
And
watching
you need,
out.
yes, and you need to watch out for your staff. You need to educate your staff. You need to educate them on, okay, how do I look at these member requests and go, yeah, I'm actually going to decline that because I'm pretty sure that that's not real. That's not a real person. It's just really important to be aware of that.
Well, guys, I'm going to force a close here because this has been an amazing, amazing segment. So much good, tangible, usable material that you guys can go put to work. Lexi, thank you so much for your time, your expertise, and all the things you've done. So many more things we could chat about and continue to go on and on and on. But it's been really powerful. So we really, truly hope we're coming at you with a servant's heart. We want to serve you. We want to give you tips. We want to give you nuggets. We want to help you. If we can ever do anything for you, comment, send us questions, ask us things. Let us know where you're at. We would love to be a part of your journey as well. Again, no strings attached, but like it, love it, share it, get it out there to your friends. If you got anything out of it, at least one thing, I think we've done our job. So we're so thankful for you. Thank you, Lex. Appreciate it, babe.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. You
Thanks
guys,
for having me.
Yes. Have a great day. Thank you for tuning into the Team Chip Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget, subscribe, share, and or leave a review because we need you. We appreciate you so much. And without you, we can't make this happen. Remember, consistency is the key to success. So go out there and never be outworked.